Hi, in case you don't know, I'm Margaret Magnus and I do communications for Marymount. And I want to thank Angela for suggesting this meeting. Marymount is building a courtyard. We're calling it the Darshan Courtyard because it's right next to the fireplace that was in the room that Mayor Baba was in when he gave Darshan to his followers in 1956. The building and everything on Marymount burned, but the fireplace remained as a touchstone of Baba's visit. And after many plans and years of fundraising, there's going to be this courtyard that people can sit by Baba's fireplace and think about being in the room with Baba. And so when we were talking about how to make people feel even more connected, even if they weren't there, the Marymount team came up with the idea of asking people to submit a quote, their favorite, most personally meaningful quote. And then we would put all those quotes in a dhuni on June 12th and then take those ashes and put them under the foundation of the courtyard so that to strengthen that connection. So about 135 quotes have come in so far from all over the world, about 10 countries. And so this is an opportunity for people to share the quote they've submitted or another quote and say why it's personally meaningful.
Two reasons, and I'm going to try to be brief here, why this resonates for me. One is about 10, 15 years ago, this may seem unrelated, but it's not. I learned that 40% of adult Americans believe in creationism. That was like, you're kidding. And so I took a big course on the big history of the universe, just science. And just one snippet, 97% of all visible matter is hydrogen and helium in the universe. That is to say, stars. Out of the remaining 3%, we have a carbon-based speck of dust in a Goldilocks orbit around a heat source on which an atmosphere formed out of an algae bloom on which life emerged and is an incredible oasis in a desolate universe. That's kind of a treasure. And this is such an immense opportunity for each of us. And there's a quotation by A.J. Heschel: when I take the time to look, there is wonder in the commonplace, and wonder is commonplace. And it's just sort of a reminder of what an absolute marvel and treasure we have. Agnes Barron is a strong influence on my life. Agnes was a journalist in the 30s in a time of rising fascism, horrific experience, and we came back and saw the slaughter of 60 million people. She, through one thing and another, landed at Marymount and actually discovered it and preserved it from 1946 to she died in 94. One of the things that she was looking at Marymount forming a corporation was kind of a mission statement. And that was one of the things we looked at was the mission statement of Antioch College, her alma mater. And it very much encouraged people to be citizens as well as, I would say aspirants, for lack of a better word. That's not the words they use, but I would say that. And the treasure that I feel is that our presence, our work, we are, as Santa Teresa said, Christ's hands, feet, mouth, ears, nose, eyes. We are that, and we are Baba's. And that is our treasure that is just so incredibly meaningful to be into the world and work for things that Agnes valued or a big influence on me and what I value: sustainability, peace, justice, those kind of things. And we have this incredible opportunity. And it is nothing less than an amazing treasure. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Bing.
Bing, could you read your quote one more time with the "be ready to receive it" included at the end? I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay. I bring the greatest treasure it is possible for man to receive. A treasure that includes all other treasures, that will endure forever, that increases when shared with others. Be ready to receive it.
Jay Baba.
Al's got his hand up.
Oh, yes.
Jay Baba, everyone.
Jay Baba.
I shared this quote earlier during our Artie Zoom, but I'll share it again since it's the one that I submitted. And there's three main reasons why I chose this quote. The quote itself is, plop, that was a quote. The quote is, Baba says, constant remembrance of the word of his name and the form in which he manifested consumes the mind. Choiceless awareness of his ever-renewing and indivisible presence, both in and around us, lifts the curtain that veils our vision from the truth. And this comes from who is Meher Baba. I came across it in the Meher era publication, one of the little books that Pune Group puts out, May 1st, 1973. But where it was actually first seen was in Life Circular #1 of February 6th, 1952. And Baba, I think Baba here points out that to meditate or contemplate his form or his picture is just as important as repeating his name. And we don't see too much of that because mostly in Bible literature, he talks about repeat my name, remember me, repeat my name, remember me. But in this particular quote, as in others that I've seen, he places great importance in also meditating and concentrating on his form or his picture. And then another reason I like this is because the term choiceless awareness, there's a term that Baba uses in the discourses, I think it's page 21, where Baba's talking about the realized or the enlightened state. And he says, in that state, awareness becomes objectless awareness. And he's saying objectless awareness because when you realize that you're the only one that exists, there are no more objects. So this term that he uses, choiceless awareness, must either be the same as objectless awareness or maybe a step below it. But those are the only two times that I can remember Baba using the word awareness with either choiceless or objectless. And the third reason is, I think I memorized this quote back in the 80s, as I shared before. And as time went by, the quote was firmly ensconced in my mind, but I was no longer sure whether it was a Baba quote or not. So I think on my 92 trip to India, I said, I'll ask Balna too. So I recited the quote to him and he says, Al, I don't know if that's a Baba quote, but it sure sounds like something Baba would say. And so it just never got resolved till a couple of years later. When I go to India, I usually go every year and I take one of those Pune books with me because I call them Baba Minestrone books because they get sources from all over the place and they throw them into a little book. And there it was, that quote that was like a long lost friend revisiting me again from that little book, Meher Era Publications. So that's why I picked that quote. Thank you for listening.
Jay Baba. If it's easy, you can paste your quote into the chat and other people can read it as you read along.
Well, I sent it in, so it's there somewhere. I
Okay.
sent it in. I already did that.
Okay,
So it's somewhere, I think.
I will check.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
there.
yeah. Vijay?
Jai Baba, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to share this wonderful meeting of quotes and message. Uh, this quote, why I choose this quote, it's a July 1958. Baba gave this message and it's a little longer quote. So these answers to my every questions in life. And I love this quote. It's my strength, everyday strength. So I read this quote. Uh, Believe me, I'm the ancient one. There is no doubt about it. I am not this body that you see. It's only a clock. I am infinite consciousness. I sit with you, play with you, and laugh with you. But remember, I am simultaneously working on all the planes of consciousness. I have before me valis, peers, yogis, and saints who are me in different forms, for I am the core center rooted in everyone and in everything. An infinite number of branches is spread out of me. It is I who work through you. Understanding has no meaning. Love has meaning. Obedience has more meaning. Holding of my daman has most meaning. I know three things. I am the avatar in every sense of word. Whatever I do is the expression of my unbounded love. I suffer infinite agony through your ignorance. What sustains me in my universal sufferings is bliss, plus my infinite sense of humor. The amusing incidents that arise at the expense of none lighten my burden. It's a self-explanatory, but still I will explain that when Baba was dropping his body, he insisted, he told Baba, remember, this is not my body. I have universal body and I am all pervading consciousness. Baba said at Guru Prasad, I sit with you, I play with you, but remember same time that I am God in human form. And understanding has no meaning, of course. And the suffering part, see, say, my suffering is your ignorance. When uh, I suffer for your ignorance, but I'm able to sustain me because of my bliss and my infinite sense of humor. So that answers to my every question, and it's a everyday strength. When I read this and I say, oh Baba, I'm happy I got connected with you. I found the purpose of my life, and so kind of you. Thank you, Baba. Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Jay Baba, you know, that it's a lovely quote and you did a lovely job reading it because it summarizes in a way the avatar and his presence in our life. And
Right.
you're right, it's a great gift that he has given us to be able to know of him in this life. Jaswinder?
अवतार में बाबा की जय। I am from India. So I would like to read my quote. This is God is not to be, it was written in 1952 on 25th of May. So it is mentioned in Lord Mayor actually. So I got this from there. This reads as, God is not to be learned, studied, or discussed, or argued about. He is to be contemplated, felt, loved, and lived. So to my limited understanding, what I could get from this is that when argue over God and use a limited intellect to explain we are acting foolishly. And in the process, we make wrong interpretations and then fight over this. So instead of trying desperately to understand and explain God through our limited intellect, we should use our heart and the love in it to connect to Him. So I don't think as humans, we have that understanding and that intellect that we can explain God, which is so infinite. And as Baba says, you just use your heart, you just love me and just leave the rest. So I think this really explains and gives a solution to all the fightings over religion, over God, and why are they indulging in such things when they are not even able to explain even a limited part of God. So why are they arguing about it? So instead, use your heart, use your love, and just connect to Him. He will take care of the rest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
It reminded me of a friend of ours who's what my husband would call a devout atheist. And at one time I thought, well, I'd like to explain Mayor Baba, but then he can't be explained. You know, it is, you either feel it in the heart or you don't. So thank you.
So nice, ma'am.
Yeah. Margaret, I wanted to mention for people, if you're having difficulty finding the raise hand button, you can just raise your hand visually and I will spot you.
Okay.
And also, if you are not on camera, you can paste in the chat that you have something you'd like to say, and I'll keep an eye on that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Mayor Prasad, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I am going to quote from the East-West Gathering. The reason I picked this quote is that this is my all-time Baba, most favorite Baba quote. I read this every day before I begin my work, and I ask his help to do his work in the way that pleases him. Okay, so this is from the East-West Gathering. The way of my work is the way of effacement, which is the way of strength, not of weakness, and through it you become mature in my love. At this stage, you cannot know what real love is, but through working for me, as you should work for me, you will arrive at that ripeness where in a moment I can give you that for which you have been millions of years seeking. I'll read that again. The way of my work is the way of effacement, which is the way of strength, not of weakness, and through it you become mature in my love. At this stage, you cannot know what real love is, but through working for me, as you should work for me, you will arrive at that ripeness, where in a moment I can give you that for which you have been millions of years seeking. Jai Baba.
Very nice. Thank you so much. All right, don't be shy, folks. I know everybody wants to go last.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll have to pick on people like Marty. There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
So this is a quote that Baba gave to Mara to memorize when she entered the ashram, and she was 17 years old in 1924. Later, Mara taught it to Mani to memorize. I later found out after I entered this quote that Baba had quoted Kabir. But I love this, so I'm going to share it tonight anyway. And the quote is, once and for all, make the resolve
Muted, hon.
Marta?
Marta, you muted. Start
How
again.
did I get muted? Oh, my phone hit it, sorry. Once and for all, make the resolve that everything is God's and nothing is mine. Let that be your resolve. In me, there is nothing of mine, and whatever there is yours. Have given over to you what is yours. What concern have I with any of it? I'll read again. Once and for all, make the resolve that everything is God's and nothing is mine. Let that be your resolve. In me, there is nothing of mine, and whatever there is yours. Having given over to you what is yours, what concern have I with any of it?
Thank you.
Ellie, your hand is up. Can you unmute? There you go.
Okay. Yeah, the quote is short. Everything happens by God's will and is necessary. Everything happens by God's will and is necessary. I get reassurance out of this quote. It certainly helps when I feel like I'm really struggling with my ego and my thoughts, making judgments. There's a certain surrender to God's will that's implied here that really, I really, I should speak for myself, have to depend on God to get through the entanglements I perceive in my life, in my thinking, in my way of living. And implied in that is millions of years of the way of living. It helps in a certain way of finding resignation about the path back to God. And the fact that God's will is preeminent, and everything that happens is necessary. Like Baba said, what has happened had to happen. What will happen must happen. And it's a way of being shaken loose of attachment to this world, this form, and all form. And remembering that I'm really spirit, I'm really point of light of God. And we all are. And that reality, we truly are just one. And one is everything.
Kelly, could you read it one more time, please? I want to write it down.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Okay, could you read it anyway?
Sure.
Thanks.
Everything happens by God's will hand is necessary.
It seems like a simple, straightforward sentence, but or statement, but it's so packed. It takes away duality of this is a good thing and this is a bad thing and this is a medium thing. It's like it's all there. And sometimes, you know, I'll think, well, why did this happen to me? Why did and then, you know, weeks, months, years will pass and I'll be, oh, thank you, Baba. It was necessary, and it was necessary for me, and maybe I didn't see it at the time, but I feel like it represents also his infinite compassion for us and his infinite love, that he wants everything for us, and whether we recognize it or not, he's giving that to us. So thank you for sharing that.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, that was well said. Thank you for saying what you said.
I'm going to start calling on people. I might call on that guy, Sam. I might call on him. You can take it. Now, here's the question.
On.
There you
go. Sure. Yeah, a number of us here were tonight were friends with Agnes Barron, as being talked about. I have a cat talking to me too here. In the early 70s, I was sitting with her usually at lunchtime. She would pull out this book Maud Kennedy had written or put together of Baba quotes, one for each day of the year, called The Unstruck Music of Meher Baba. And there was a quote that she read, and I'll read it as Maud Kennedy had it, a little bit condensed. It's, I am eternal in nature and infinite in resources. And then Agnes looked at the group of us sitting around. There were several young people there pulling weeds that day or something. And she said, now there's a mantra for you. And you know, it's funny, but that thing has stayed in my head quite a bit. I am eternal in nature and infinite in resources. Now, when I looked it up in Lord Meher, the more full quote is, the self, in fact, is a limitless, indivisible, spiritual essence, eternal in its nature and infinite in its resources. So Maud took the liberty of shortening it down, and yet it's still true to Baba's words. So I'll read both versions again, if I may. But it has meant a lot to me over the years, when there are times of difficulty, times of lack of confidence, lack of all sorts of things. You feel lacks. Lacks of lacks, huh? And anyway, this quote is reassuring. It says, yeah, what are you worried about? You know, why are you taking it so seriously? So, I am eternal in nature and infinite in resources. That's the Maud Kennedy version from the Unstruck Music of Meher Baba. And then in Lord Meher, the quote is, the self, in fact, is a limitless, indivisible, spiritual essence, eternal in its nature and infinite in its resources. Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Baba. I'll add that sometimes when Sam and I are doing things for Marymount and something comes up and it's like, oh no, we have this thing that needs to be fixed or this problem or blah, blah, blah. And there's not enough money, and he'll pull out that quote. Just remember, and it's like, okay, Baba will take care of it however it happens. So it's both personal and I don't know, whatever.
And I appreciated the cat's comments, though. I thought that was very charming, very wise. Cats love Zoom. You may not know that. Wonder if we can get
Even though Eric couldn't get his video working. Eric, you want to share a quote?
Good.
Sure. Yeah, I've looked into system preferences. That doesn't seem to be the problem. There's the preferences on Zoom seem to be the problem. So I'm going to have to call Zoom to figure out what's wrong. I've pressed start video repeatedly and it has a red slash across it, will not disappear. So I don't know what's wrong. However, let me post the quote. I think that worked. The quote is, "Do not worry about anything. Keep thinking of me constantly. I am the only one that exists. The only one that matters." And I memorized this about 12 years ago when I was going through a period of some humiliation and feeling abandoned. And so I would say this over and over and over to myself silently. I do not recall where I found it. I thought I found it in the Everything and the Nothing, but I've searched the Everything and the Nothing online and it's not there. So I'm not sure where I found that quote, but it's something I memorized a long time ago. Jai Baba.
Eric, would you read it one more time?
Sure. Do not worry about anything. Keep thinking of me constantly. I am the only one that exists. The only one that matters.
Thank you. Xerxes?
Yes, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
So I'll read my quote out. I've already pasted it in the chat. It says, "Real happiness lies in making others happy. Things that are real are given and received in silence." The first line, "Real happiness lies in making others happy." This is something Baba tried to convey the message that he's been saying the same message over the ages, that we are all one. It's not us versus him or her or they or them. And that is kind of stayed with me. It's difficult to kind of practice, especially when somebody is trying to be difficult towards you. I know I personally could be difficult towards others as well, but I try to keep that in mind and try to go through my day with that. The second one, it says that things that are real are given and received in silence. And Baba had always said that God has been working in silence, unobserved and unheard, except for those who experiences infinite silence. I personally also associate this quote with that when you try to do something for others, and it ties up to the first line as well, you try not to make a big hue and cry about it, right? You don't go and say, "Oh, I did this for so-and-so. Oh, I'm so great that I donated X." So try to use the anonymous button if you're trying to donate or something of that sort. So I try to associate that, but these two lines have kind of stayed with me since the time I've come to Baba. I put it that way. Jai Mai Baba. Thank you for the opportunity.
Jai Baba. I'm just saying, as these quotes have come into Marymount, I've read them all, and it's really touching to hear the personal experience behind it. It's very special. So I appreciate people sharing this.
Margaret, tell them what you call these little sayings.
Oh, well, I call them fairy dust. And there's a little, when we started this process, I've been going through kind of a low period. I don't think anybody else experiences those kinds of things, but you know, sometimes they happen. And when they started coming in, I felt like Baba was sprinkling fairy dust. And I was like, oh, and it was just like, it just pulled me out of that weeks long of kind of malaise, depression, whatever it was. And I was just thinking, oh, whatever it is, Baba is always giving us his gifts. And so it felt like he was sprinkling fairy dust on me in particular, but it's like he's sprinkling fairy dust on all of us to be able to access his word and give us guidance and something to hold on to and to remember him.
Also, the quote, things that are real are given and received in silence. That's in the Lagoon Cabin. And every time I hear that quote, I think of that cabin.
So Jaya apparently is ready to get in here.
Jai Baba, everyone.
Jai Baba.
My quote is, when mind soars in pursuit of things conceived in space, it pursues emptiness. But when man dives deep within himself, he experiences the fullness of existence. The last 15 months, I would say this is very evident for me because, you know, everyone's life has been on a pause, so to speak. And I went through an illness last year. I had the Bell's palsy. And so I kept reading this quote myself, realizing that whatever I was chasing in life, you know, that was so illusory. Whereas when I delved, you know, deep within me in my meditations, and I realized that the consciousness, I became aware of the consciousness that is Baba within me. I could trace everything. And, you know, my fears just vanished. And the doctors had said that I would take a year to heal, but I healed within a month. And this year, again, I'm recovering from COVID. Last month I had COVID, and you know, I'm still in the recovery phase. And I guess this quote has helped me through it. Jai Baba.
Jaya, where are you? Are you in India?
Yes, I'm in India. I'm in Pune.
Pune, thank you.
Jaya, would you read your quote again, please?
Yeah, sure. When mind soars in pursuit of things conceived in space, it pursues emptiness. But when man dives deep within himself, he experiences the fullness of existence. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you. That's beautiful. Okay, Mimi's had her hand up for a while.
Can you unmute Mimi?
Okay.
There you
Now,
go.
so my name is Mira. I'm in Croatia, in Europe, and yeah, the quote that I have here for today is not enlightening for me, but a burden, a kind of burden, because you'll understand why when I read it. It's: remember that the first step in spirituality is not to speak ill of others. All human beings have weaknesses and faults, yet they are all God in their being. until they become realized they have their imperfections. Therefore, before trying to find faults in others and speaking ill of them, try to find your own weaknesses and correct those. So I think you understand why it's a burden for me, because for decades, I speak ill of some people, and I cannot help it. And although theoretically I know that Baba is in everyone, I cannot see and feel that in some people that are difficult. And I know the difficult for me. And I know that Baba told that to love the one that is most difficult to be loved, I'm just saying, paraphrasing it, it's to love God. And I'm failing in doing that. And that's why I feel whenever I come up with his words, it's a burden for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we could all confess to being challenged and inspired by Mayor Baba's words. Would you read it one more time?
Remember that the first step in spirituality is not to speak ill of others. All human beings have weaknesses and faults, yet they are all God in their being. Until they become realized, they have their imperfections. Therefore, before trying to find faults in others and speaking ill of them, try to find your own weaknesses and correct those.
Thank you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
We've all got a big task ahead of us. Okay. Anybody else who hasn't before? Because Al, I know, has another quote he'd like to share.
I'm wondering when Wayne's going to jump in here.
And Betty. Hey, Betty.
And Betty, yeah. Come on, you guys. Are you ready, Ben? You got to unmute.
This is from Norina's, The Gift. This is one of the 40 messages that from Baba gave through her. It's number 38. I love the world. I love in each and all the truth. I love in each and all the spiritual thought order. I love in each and all the self-immutable. Love is the essence of truth in its purity. Love is the fulfillment of life without trammels. Love is the reality of divinity unmasked. Love is the true order of being in each and all. I'll write that down in the chat. Jai Baba.
You read it again, Betty, please?
Oh, sure.
Also, is there a word in there that says tremel?
Trammels. It's like bindings. Trammel, I believe.
Trammels?
Trammel. T-R-A-M-M-E-L. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. I love the world. I love in each and all the truth. I love in each and all the spiritual thought order. I love in each and all the self-immutable. Love is the essence of truth in its purity. Love is the fulfillment of life without trammels. Love is the reality of divinity unmasked. Love is the true order of being in each and all. I'll type it in there.
Thank you. Fred, you had your hand up earlier.
Yes, my quote was things that are real are given and received in silence. And the way I interpret it, real is really Baba, and that could be love. In other words, in silence, love prevails when you don't speak. I once took a vow of silence, and I was going to a classroom, I think it was my first year of college. And I just listened to the speaker talking, and it seems like when you're silent, you absorb more things, and your ego is put at bay. And I think you can talk to any language, any person in the world in silence. You can communicate your feelings with the essence of your being. And I think that Marymount signifies to me a place where you can really feel that, you could say, eternal silence when you go to Baba's tree or just walk the grounds. And I just thought that's an appropriate thought of Baba. Things that are real are given and received in silence.
You know, Fred, you probably were there some of the times when Agnes was alive. We often would work on Silence Day, and it seemed really special because we weren't talking and we had tools and we were busy, so you can't just stop and write. You had to intuit and connect with people on in a different way. It's like you turned down your mind and felt, oh, you're going to take that end, I'll take that end, you're doing this. And it was one of my favorite experiences being at Marymount.
I think we should have Wayne.
I think we should invite Etzion, who's, I think it must be about 4 a.m. in Israel.
Oh yeah, he's sitting in the dark.
Something like that.
I have one. It's 6:30 in the morning in Israel.
Oh my God. Okay.
Should I go?
Hey, hold on a second. Are you going to read it, Etienne?
You want me to read something?
Oh, did you have a quote that you wanted to share?
I always have a quote. I just have to open it. I read Lord Meher every day, and so I have something. Just a minute. I will open it.
Okay.
Just a second. It's coming. This is from Lord Meher, online, page is 3399, 1953, September. Baba was there looking for masts, as usual. Baba wished to proceed to Baba to work with a highly advanced mast, Chinta Bhagat. The road to Baba was 10 miles from the nearest town, and being unpaved, it had turned into quagmire due to recent monsoon rains. It was not a straight road, but had turns and twists leading off to other villages. Elcha, who had previously stayed in the area for a long time, reported, "Baba, it is impossible to traverse this road at night. We will miss our turn and get lost. Sugarcane fields border both sides of the road, and we won't be able to tell which road leads where." Baba asked Baidul if he could lead him there. Baidul assured him that he could, and added confidently that they would reach the mass abode that night. Elcha pleaded, "Baba, don't listen to him. I know this area. Baidul will only make us wander about in the fields." Baba told Baidul to lead the way, and by going left and right and left, with Helen driving, he took them straight to the mass place. When they reached it at 11 o'clock at night, Elcha was so impressed that, as a joke, he stretched out on the ground before Baidul in obeisance and said fervently to Baba, "I thought he was a fool until now. But every one of the mandali you have selected is a gem. Some are well versed in one thing, some in another, but none are like Baidul. He has a nose like a compass." That's what it is. Yes, a non-stop unbelievable stories through this master.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Jay, we're ready for you, buddy.
Okay. Sorry, I might get disrupted.
Dad, I'm gonna keep doing
I'll be there. 2 minutes. Okay, sorry. So this one's a little more mental, but I love it. Some of these impressions remain dormant in the subconsciousness of man for hours or days or years, and sometimes for lifetimes. But most of them get projected through the subconsciousness of man every moment of his life. That's it. But I just thought it was amazing. And I thought, you know, this might be why we have auras, because we're projecting these impressions every moment through our subconscious. So we're like we're beaming impressions constantly, every moment of our life. I thought this was interesting. This is from God Speaks, by the way.
Can you read it again, Jay, please?
Yeah. Some of these impressions remain dormant in the subconsciousness of man for hours or days or years, and sometimes for lifetimes. But most of them get projected through the subconsciousness of man every moment of his life. So there we go.
That's profound.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
All right. What do you think, Cassandra? We have just a few minutes left. If there's one.
Well, I was hoping Wayne would go. And then we can wait for
Cassandra will harass you, Wayne. Wayne, what can you do?
We'll get you in, Al, I promise.
Marge is there too.
Marjapan, are you going to read a quote? Are you there?
Wayne, would you mind going first, and then we'll
Sure.
see who
Okay.
else is left. Okay.
All right. My quote I submitted is the last 2 lines of the universal message, which Baba said, "There was and is no way out except through my coming in your midst. I had to come, and I have come. I am the Ancient One." There was and is no way out except through my coming in your midst. I had to come, and I have come. I am the Ancient One. I chose that. It was hard to pick a Baba quote because there's so many, but I went to that because the universal message is probably the first message I ever read of Meher Baba. People remember this back in the day, before, with that beautiful photo. So the whole universal message really impressed me, of course. But what occurred to me about it is that in my life, Baba's gift, and this Vijay talked about this too, is his gift of recognition of who he is, that the avatar has taken human form, that he has come, he had to come, and that he is the Ancient One. So I wanted to acknowledge the gift of recognition from Baba, because it is a gift. It is absolutely a gift. In all traditions, we know God is love. Well, we say so, and so much more. But to be among those of us who have been consciously given this gift of recognition of Avatar Meher Baba during this Advent, we're still in the Advent period of springtide of creation, the new humanity, all of it. And so intimately and so personally, I just wanted to recognize Baba's gift of recognition. There was and is no way out except through my coming in your midst. I had to come, and I have come. I am the Ancient One. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Leave it to Wayne to make me cry. So, Marge? Did you have something you wanted to share?
No, this is just wonderful listening to you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, dear. Anybody else have? Oh, Al. Al's got something.
Jay Baba, everyone.
Hey, Baba.
You know, I wanted to say to Mimi, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Baba quote she was paraphrasing is Baba saying, to love those whom you cannot love is to love me as I should be loved. I think that's what I got from that. Anyway, this second quote is from this little book here, Sparks. And some of the best books are the small ones, they're like 90 pages. Sparks, Everything and the Nothing, Beams, and there's another one here that has no Life at its Best. Yeah, this small little book. But anyway, this quote comes from the second last discourse, which is only 3.5 pages, and I've memorized almost all of it. It's called True Spirituality. It's just a real powerful discourse. I mean, every paragraph, every line. In the beginning, Baba goes over it. One who is keen about true spirituality must lose all self-will. He says that in about 6 different ways. He keeps hammering it and hammering it. Anyway, in the middle of this discourse is the line that I'm going to share. Baba says, meeting what life brings in its wake with contentment is the real test of the surrenderance, love, and faith which a disciple has in his master. His love is true and unchanging because he does not ask for anything. He faces all the good and bad vicissitudes of life with unchallengeable equanimity. So I like that. It has a sense similar to the first quote of choiceless awareness. Whatever life brings in your wake, you know, you don't know what it is, but whatever it is, accept it with contentment. And then at the end, Baba talks about equipoise. So you're facing it with poise. And in one small swoop, you're being tested. Your surrenderance, your love, and your faith, all 3 of them are being tested by meeting whatever life brings you in its wake with contentment. It seems so simple, just to be content. And whatever comes is okay, you know? So that's my quote.
Thank you. You know, often I read some quotes and you go, oh, well, that's so straightforward and so not complex, but so very difficult to do. And that's the challenge for us.
Well, Margaret, do you have a quote?
I do, but I'm going to share it next week, which is segue into, we're doing these sessions next Friday, June 4th and June 11th. Same time, same station, and encourage you to come and invite your friends. I personally have been very touched by everything that people have shared and their heartfelt reasons for sharing it, and I appreciate everybody participating. And I particularly want to thank Angela for offering the platform and coming up with the idea of using the Meher Baba Worldwide family to have this session.
Thank you, Margaret. For putting
Yes, thank you, Margaret.
Cassandra,
We had somebody from Croatia here.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Mimi. Yes, Mimi. I loved your quote too.
That is so
Yeah,
awesome.
very much. Thank
People
you.
from India, Croatia, just excellent.
Israel.
Israel.
In Israel and
Israel, yes, Etzion.
Yeah, yeah.
We're actually very glad to see you, Etzion. Do you want to say the Beloved's Prayer?
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead and unmute everyone.
Okay. I'll forget it. No. Beloved God, help us all
to love
you
more and more.
And more and more, and still yet more, who would become worthy of union with you, help us all to hold fast.
hold fast still very
Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba
Baba Ki Jai.
as they say in Swahili, lala salama. I mean,